Hey everybody, welcome to Always Good News. If you've tuned in before, you will know that we're typically in a studio, but today we're not. We are live in Stratford, Prince Edward Island, which is just outside of Charlottetown, the capital city. And I'm here with Samaritans Purse and the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, responding, as most of you know, to the devastating hurricane that came through here just about 2 weeks ago. Hurricane Fiona. And so just even traveling in just the last hour, we've seen devastation, lots of trees uprooted, power lines snapped into roofs with a lot of damage. And so Samaritans Purse has deployed here to respond, and the Billy Graham Association as well. And so I'm joined by Tammy Suter, who is our Canadian Disaster Relief Manager. Tammy's going to tell us exactly what's happening here. We're going to walk you through some of the equipment that's here, and we just want to give you a sense of not only what's happened here, but how God is at work through both of these organizations. So Tammy, thanks for taking time. I know you've been busy on the phone and responding. So why don't you tell everybody that's watching how Samaritans Purse ended up here and what's been happening?
Sure. Well, obviously we responded to Hurricane Fiona in 2019, and so we've had a presence here before. From that, we've been working with emergency management across the province, and so we're kind of on speed dial for them. And so before the storm even hit, we were starting to get those calls and asking us, what our thoughts would be in that, and if we were ready to respond. And of course, our answer was yes. Just after the storm, I sent Andy and Kathy to assess here, and I went over to Cape Breton, and both places could use us, but we had to pick a place, and so we just saw a little bit more here that we could probably respond to, and so we made the decision to come here.
Okay, so I know that there were vehicles like is behind us and others from both Calgary, Alberta, and Ontario.
Yep.
So tell us about, you come, you set up, EMO's invited you in, then what happens? How do people know that you're here, and how can they get help?
Yeah, well, we have a 1-800 number. In the front of this trailer is an office, and we have the phone systems, computer systems, everything comes in right directly to here.
Okay.
And so people are talking to live people in the office. As much as we can keep up, we're well over 330 work orders already.
Wow.
In just a couple days or a week of having the phones open. So the call volume has been huge for people requesting help. But yeah, we pick a local church. We're always with a church, and that's our Lighthouse Churches, and we partner with them. We use their parking lot and their internet and their power and all that kind of stuff, and we work together to serve the community.
Wow. So 330 orders. So tell me what that looks like. Somebody calls, says they need help. What kind of work is going on?
Yeah. Lots of trees, like you talked about at the beginning. There is a ton of trees down, and lots, I would say like 80% of what people are asking us for is that. Some are on homes, some are on roofs, in the yard, and so that's one of the areas. With that, trees going on roofs, shingle damage, holes in roofs, so we're doing some temporary tarping. And then if they've had water, we're just, first day of rain today as you guys show up. And so, if there's some mud out that has to be done, some clean out because water has gotten into the house from the rains, then we can help clean that up as well.
Okay. So many of you know Samaritans Purse, and you know that we respond all over the world, but also here in Canada for disasters like this. Tammy, tell us, how does the work get done? Obviously, we don't have enough staff to do this. So these work orders, people are calling saying, I've got trees on my property that are down, I've got roof damage, all that's happening. Who does the work? How does this happen?
So once that call gets made, we create a work order, and so we have site leadership teams. Our site leadership team, which is, we have about 100 of them across Canada, and those are the men and women that have trained with us year after year to respond to this kind of stuff. So they'll give the leadership on the ground, and then from there, those SLTs will take the volunteers that show up for the day, or overnight volunteers, and we'll put them all into teams, and those team leads will oversee the work that's being done on the ground.
Okay. So listen, if you're watching and you're anywhere in the country, specifically if you're in the East Coast and you want to help, you want to be involved, you want to say, here am I, send me, then we want to direct you to the link in our bio when we're done. Always good news, and you can get all the information. We just need you to get here and give God your yes, and give Tammy your yes.
Yes, please.
And we will find something for you to do. But let's take a look. Walter, why don't you jump in with us? Mm-hmm. Walter's here as well from Alberta. He's kind of heading up all of these big rigs that you see here and the deployment of the resources that we have. So Walter, thanks for doing what you do. Thanks for driving across the country to help East Coast Canada. Tell us what this massive trailer is, and maybe walk us through or show us some of the stuff that's here.
Yeah, I'll start just explaining kind of the stuff that we have in here. It's a mini home hardware or hardware store on wheels. So yeah, there's lots of pumps and generators and wheelbarrows, electrical cords, all our fans, everything we need for drying basements when we get to a flood situation. Our chainsaws are in there, which we're using constantly here on this deployment. Okay. And everything we need, all our shirts and yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
let's go
gear.
have a quick look so you know exactly when you're giving financially, when you're volunteering, when you're a part of this, you want to see what we have to do the work. Just follow Walter there and see what's on this truck.
Yeah. Well, because we're on deployment right now, our benches are very full of stuff. But as you can see, we have a chainsaw part right now, and that's what we're working on to make sure that we can get it going again and get our teams the equipment that we need. We have everything we need here to work on, just like in your garage, or a garage that is set up for this kind of thing. I mean, with different disasters, we need different equipment. We have power tools. This is full of power tools. This is full of power tools. We even have, just things like garbage bags, but we have all our PPE, which is our Tyvek suits and hard hats, all our vests and gloves. And then as we get to farther down, I'll show you my favorite cabinet. So not only do we have that equipment, but we have all the parts that go with it, like this drawer that is full of chainsaw parts. We're running chainsaws constantly on this deployment. All our chains, all our bars. And then we'll continue on to this cabinet here. Which is my favorite cabinet because it's full of these. And when we get on a deployment, we have the opportunity to hand these to the people that we get to work with. We go to their homes. They may or may not know what the Bible is or who Jesus is, and we get the opportunity to change lives. When we were in a deployment this spring, there was a 93-year-old that didn't know the Lord, and we got to welcome him into the family of God. And he had the opportunity, we had the opportunity to go to his house, but he has the opportunity to go to heaven because we got to work on his house. So that was amazing. This is just one floor. There's actually 2 floors on here. If you can see up here, it's just full all the way from the front to the back. And then we have our office. All our office staff is in here. We run anywhere from 1 or 2 to 4 or 5 people in this little office, but it works well. So God is good. He continues to bring people to help us, and there's lots of work orders coming in on this deployment. So like Mark said before, if you can come help, we would love the help.
All right, so let me show you another part of this deployment, which is very exciting. And we're going to jump out of this vehicle, and I'm going to take you over to another resource. So this is a partnership, obviously Samaritans Purse Canada, as well as the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association. Joined by Teal. Teal's one of the coordinators here, just putting this all together. And like you just heard, there's a lot of physical work happening, but there's a lot of spiritual work happening as well as we share the good news of the gospel with people. So Teal, tell me kind of what your role is, what happens here, what the chaplains are doing.
So my role here is to keep the chaplains busy. In the morning we get the work orders and we follow around the teams. We spend time with the teams, hopefully have lunch, we get to spend time with the homeowners, just love on them, and we do hope to have the opportunity to share the gospel with them using Steps to Peace.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, again, a really practical ministry happening, but also a spiritual ministry happening.
Yeah.
And Teal, tell me, there was a story in the last few days of somebody that was stuck in their home. You want to share that story, what happened?
Yeah, so we got a call yesterday. I got a call around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and it was a mom. She was 82 years old, and her daughter, and they hadn't been out of the house about 2 or 3 times. No heat, no hydro, and a generator wouldn't have worked because it was all baseboards, so a generator wouldn't have helped. So we got there, and the mom, she's sitting in a chair, she's got 2 blankets on, she's got a shawl on, and she's holding 2 water bottles, and the blanket would slip and we'd pick it up, and just sat there with them. And I had brought actually an SB person with me because I wasn't sure what I was going into and I didn't have anybody. So, and we just sat and heard her story. She was a wonderful Christian woman, and her daughter's running around, and she'd come out and she'd tell us what was her frustrations, cry a little, and then go do something else and come back. And this happened quite frequently, and just sat and listened and prayed with them. But all of a sudden, the fridge doors were open up behind us, and there was nothing in the fridge, and the lights came on. And we all cheered, and we were clapping, and yay, it was so great. And the joy, just to have hydro. And she goes, you guys didn't drop the ball. You're here, you're helping us. And what a sweet moment to be there, to see the hydro come on after 12 days.
12 days,
12 days. We made sure the stove was working, we made sure the heaters were working, and she had her favorite little things, and then we got to leave. She goes, oh, don't go, and I'm like, it's time for your nap, you need to go to sleep now. So it was really awesome to be a part of that.
Wow, thanks for sharing that, Teal. So as you can hear, the island was hit pretty dramatically, and there's a lot of need, and Samaritans Purse and the Billy Graham Association is here to serve in Jesus' name. And so, hey, if you're looking for a place to give, if you want to support financially, be praying for the teams here. If you want to volunteer, there's a link in our bio that you can click on and to be a part of this. So come and serve. We have chaplains that are praying with people. Matthew 7 talks a lot about if you build your life on the sand or you build your life on the rock. When the storms come, if your life is built on Jesus, you will stand. And this was a physical storm that came through, but people are in a spiritual storm as well, where they don't know where their hope is. And we want to encourage you today, if you're watching and you've not put your faith in Jesus, you can do that today. If you want to support the work that's happening here in Prince Edward Island, both through Samaritans Purse Canada and the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, click the link in our bio, get involved. But we wanted to bring you this update. We wanted you to see what's happening on the ground here on Prince Edward Island, on the east coast of Canada. Be praying for this community. Be praying for the East Coast. And thank you for your support. And that's it for this episode of Always Good News. We'll see you next time. God bless.